COE,
Champion over everything.
holding it down, baby.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Transformation Thursday. COE, Champion Over Everything, the podcast. Look, kind of want to do something special. 2020 has been a tremendous year. 2020 has been a trying year. 2020 has been a faith-filled year. Our show, we focus on faith, family, friends, finance, friendships, um, failures, so many different terms that we can use. But man, it's really just been an honor and a joy to come on. So I kind of want to recap 2020, a few things that we've done, a few things that we've accomplished, a few things that we've overcome. And the first thing that I want to do, I want to take you all back to the very first video, because the very first video was our jumping off point. It was us being able to get out of our comfort zone, and start this podcast. But more importantly than that, you'll see some not so not so great images, some not so great camera work. So things have truly changed, and things are continuing to evolve. So definitely want you to check out this first video.
Today, as we kick off our first installment of Transformation Thursday, I mean, welcome. I mean, it's simple as that, right? It's Transformation Thursday. It's the day before Friday. It's the day before the weekend. So I want you guys to be tuned up. I want you guys to be amped up. I want you guys to just be ready to aspire to inspire the world around you on today and moving forward. You with me? All right, let's go. So, one word, one principle on today: jump. And it's not spelled Jump. It's spelled Jump. So what does it mean? It simply means just utilize moral and mental prowess. So no matter what you're going through, no matter where you are in your life, you gotta utilize your moral and your mental prowess. What does that mean? I mean, you gotta be consistent in the things that are coming to your mind. You have to be consistent in the things, the urges that are telling you to do something new, to step out on faith. Take a leap of faith as you have it. I mean, I'm a video game player. I play Assassin's Creed. And one thing about it is, um, you're standing on this tall tower and you're looking down at everything below you. And yeah, though it may seem scary, you have to trust your insight, your input, everything that's within you to take a leap of faith.
All right, so in that first clip, it was just a snippet of jump, pretty much just making sure you are taking a leap of faith. 2020 brought many of us to that point to where we had to take a leap of faith. For many people, they started some new business ventures. There were some who, unfortunately, lost their jobs during the year of 2020 and kind of review, reassess their life, and where things were going. Um, so 2020 was a jumping off point. As the podcast started off, it was also a jumping off point for us because, I was tested in some ways. My family was tested in some ways. And we just pretty much wanted to see how we can share the story of not only ourselves, but also the stories of others. And it brought me to a second video, in which during that particular video, I talk about one of my favorite wrestling groups, the New Day, right? And how my 2 year old, she came to me one morning and she recognized the shirt of the group, the New Day, but it was the way that she questioned, like, "Daddy, it's a new day." Like, "Yeah, baby, it's a new day." Not realizing she looking at the t-shirt or even realizing it's the group, right? Um, and then in this video, we talk about just being able, doing the middle, the start, right? It was pretty much the start of a pandemic, being blessed to see a new day for those who were still alive during that particular time period. even those that are alive today to see this, it is definitely a new day. So just wanted to share a snippet from that video as well.
See, God is allowing us an opportunity, a chance to remove the distractions from our life. Really, if you look at it, the NBA has shut down. So many businesses are shutting down. So many other avenues of entertainment. Yeah, you may have Netflix, you may have Disney Plus, but what happens when the cable channels go out? What happens when the internet stops working?
So as the show continued to progress, it really kind of took a turn because starting out, the vision for Champion Over Everything was to pretty much kind of have a platform to share uh, some sermons that I had done, some sermons that God was giving to me, and it was going to be a solo mission with every now and again having a guest on. Um, but originally, the idea was to for me to share on the topics of faith, fitness, family, finances, just to name a few other F's. As one of my brothers, one of my friends would say, we were trying to find some ways to F some stuff up, and you know, the guide to living life in a kid F. But as it transitioned, I did my first sit down interview for 2020. That particular year, this year 2020, was a pretty much a journey for myself and my family, in which my wife and I were going to celebrate 10 years of marriage. We celebrated 10 years of marriage in September of 2020. So we kind of sat down, we did an interview, but during that particular time, we also had a cousin, her first cousin, Craig. Craig lives out in Texas. He is the founder of Torch Fitness. We call him Flame, um, because just the whole fitness aspect when you out there working, your body's heating up, you're flaming on, right? So we sat down. I sat down with Craig and did the first interview, and we transitioned a lot of things that we did in the background. Like the first video clip y'all saw or heard, we had a green screen. That green screen, I started learning about lighting a little bit. Is it perfect now? No, but we're gonna work it out to make sure it's where it needs to be. But got rid of the green screen and we just started doing natural, using natural light. And it's crazy because the first video interview, when Craig pulled up at the house that particular day, we were sitting outside recording. And Craig, it was hot. It was hot. And doing that video, we moved inside the house, and man, we kind of had some mishaps with the video itself. We luckily I had two cameras set up during that particular time period because one camera stopped recording. Um, the other one, once we got that one back on and working, um, the other one ran out of memory, and it was just like, okay, wow, I'm glad that I'm seeing these small nuances because these are things that I am going to have to champion over if I want to continue to be successful. These are things that I need to plan ahead for. So I learned, throughout it. But during Craig interview kind of set the stage for what we call being on the podium. Being on the podium, you think about it, people get all these type of awards and accolades, and they're standing on at the podium and they're giving their acceptance speech in which they told their journey, they told their story of how they got to where they were. They thanked a few people, but ultimately, at the base of the being on the podium, standing at the podium, being at this platform, is now to where you're able to share your champion story. So with Craig, this was a snippet of his champion story.
Like Dallas was my turning point for me, and
Okay.
like a big change in my life. And when I really got into the fitness mode and into my profession, I moved to Dallas about 5 years ago because of a job. I got a job offer in Dallas for the VA,
Okay.
the Veterans Hospital, and that's where the fitness is kind of it really introduced, and it really took off for me.
Okay. So Craig, check this out. Back in high school, man, I remember when Craig stayed with me for a little bit, man, and that's another story. I was serious in a minute, but I remember back in high school, I saw you with this Letterman jacket on, and what were you doing? Powerlifting during that particular time?
Oh yeah, I was.
Okay.
I've been a lifelong athlete. Football, powerlifting, all type of sports throughout high school.
Gotcha.
But doing school and my internship, it was about to be honest, you guys, I went through about a depression. You know, at us as black people, we really don't like to admit or you know speak on our troubles or our trials and tribulations. But I went through this phase, you guys, where I was depressed and I gained like over 50, 60 pounds. And
So that's why you were chubby.
oh yeah,
Like not being funny, like
Yeah.
seriously though, because
Yeah.
it was depressing. Because
Yeah.
I remember like when I first met Craig, when Craig was still in high school, this dude was like rocked up. So between you transitioning from high school to college, like when you started living with us, I remember you like Craig could put on some weight, but he still was going to the gym because I started going to the gym. I couldn't hang with the dude, but I started going to the gym with him. But man, do you mind sharing how you championed over that depression stage?
It was one day at a time, you guys. Like for me, once I finished my internship and I graduated, I felt like in my mind I was the best thing smoking. I thought jobs was just going to be beating down my door to hire me, and that wasn't the case at all. And like the job hunt, it was I would say it was definitely a struggle. I was applying everywhere, and nobody gave me a chance. Nobody gave me that shot, and I ended up back in a place that I tried so hard to get out of. And I went to school. I did my internship. I felt like I did everything right just to end up back where I started. And I knew I was worth more than the job I was at and what I was getting paid.
Gotcha.
And it was a long story, but I ended up getting laid off from that job. It wasn't my fault, y'all, but
Sounds like it's another story.
it's another long story. Like we could be on here for hours, like because I love to talk and I got a lot of stories. But
Man, we here to share it, man.
But I ended up getting laid off from that job, and at that point, that's when it really hit me, because most people don't know my story, but I had a rough childhood, financial burden, like the whole nine, and my whole goal in life was to run from that and not be in that financial burden.
Gotcha.
Not live check to check, and just to be financially stable. And for me to lose my job, the only job that was offered to me, I really got in that depressed state of not wanting to work out, just eating whatever. And when I say the pounds came, y'all, like the pounds came quick, and it took me to leave and to get hired on somewhere else, that change the scenery.
Gotcha.
For me to kind of wake back up on the inside,
Gotcha.
because I felt defeated, I felt like I had lost, everything I worked so hard for, and it wasn't there for me to to take, or wasn't there for me to get. And I felt like I was a failure for a while. It was so much that I could have done, and I felt like I stayed on the straight and narrow as much as I could. But at that point, it was like, you should have done this. You should have took the wrong
Kinda
route.
second-guessing yourself.
Second guessing myself. And it took that change of scenery for me, and it took the people around me to change my vision and to set me on the path of, I wouldn't say righteousness because I wasn't a bad kid, but it set me on the path of greatness. I feel like.
Gotcha.
What a powerful testimony, right? Craig, Craig was our first interview, and Craig will definitely be back. Topic 2021 as we kind of discuss some trends in fitness. I know some people are going to have plans of, being healthier, having healthier lifestyles. And we're going to talk about some meal plans. He creates meal plans, some things that he's done in the past when he gets ready for some competitions. So he'll definitely be back as we continue to learn, as we continue to navigate, as we continue to just see what was working, tweak some things. You'll kind of see like the layout change from time to time, just depending on where we were set up for recording. One thing that we were semi forced to do for 2020 is we had to get out of school and we had to work from home. I'm an educator. My wife is also an educator, but we were forced to, due to COVID-19, we were forced to pretty much set up a home office, in which we took our third bedroom, our guest bedroom. We knew we were not going to have um, people over because of the limitations and the expectations of uh, social distancing guidelines, right? Um, so we transformed a third bedroom into a mini office. And during that particular time, we kind of set up a studio. One of my goals for 2021 is definitely to have a space within itself to establish a studio where people will be able to come in once we have, for those who will get vaccinated, receive the vaccine. Um, but just be able to have that intimate spot, that small studio space to conduct interviews. But in that particular time period, we transitioned to set up the office space slash studio, and it was there to where I would still get up early in the morning and plan. I was still getting up just like I was going to work. So we did some one-off videos. I still was doing some solo episodes, but I saw where the show was starting to evolve. But before it evolved, I ended up getting a second job, just kind of doing something on the side as well to just kind of help, because we didn't know what to expect from COVID. We didn't know if with the education system, if they would say, well, we're going to reduce, you know, who we have in each key position. It was just kind of one of those unknown unknowns, right? Um, so went to work, made a sacrifice. So um, God was kind of speaking to me about sacrifice because I started to see different things. I started to look back over my life and see some of the sacrifices that I had to make as a parent, to take on new jobs, to take on new roles, to work and work and work. Um, but then I also saw the sacrifice that I had to let go of certain jobs so I can be home. And so things just kind of changed. And in this video, I just talk about that theme, that term, that one word, right, of sacrifice.
Sacrifice. That's right. Sacrifice. What does it mean to sacrifice? If we were to look at John 3:16, right? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whoever believeth in him shall not perish, but shall have everlasting life. So, I mean, it's definitely some great jewels, some great takeaways within that particular scripture. But one of the biggest things for me is the theme of sacrifice. We think about sacrifice. What are some things that you are willing to give up? As a parent, what are some things that you had to do in order to make sure that your kids are taken care of? Sometimes that's going to be the sacrifice of time. You may have to
not be able to spend enough time with your kids like you want to because you got to work, a second job in order to make sure that they have the things that they need, right? It may be your talents, when it comes to your career goals. Some of your talents may have to go to the back burner just because you need to focus on one set area of your life and homing in on getting better in that particular area, right? Your resources, you may be a person who have 2 vehicles or 3 vehicles, and you need to pretty much give one away, because once you give one away, you're able to bless somebody else for the greater good. But the ultimate sacrifice is giving your life back to Christ. So after sacrifice, after we branched out and we started doing some different type of episodes, what we dubbed special episodes. I brought on a close friend of mine, one of my financial advisors, Miss Courtney Payton, who works for Edward Jones in the state of Mississippi. So this is an interview with Courtney in which she shares her champion story. I definitely want y'all to go back and check out her full interview because it was amazing. But this particular snippet just kind of highlights her point of jumping off, so to say, from the world of finance and the different roles she had that brought her kind of full circle back to what her passion was, and that's ministry and helping people. So this is her champion story.
Well, that's the major part. That's what for me, that is one of the most important things about my work, is that while I'm not the first, I am currently the only female African-American advisor for our firm. And there are only 2 other African-American advisors to my knowledge in the entire region. So for me, wow, where most would see that as an obstacle, I see it as an opportunity. So a part of my purpose with our firm is to create a space for representation, so that other female African Americans will see that there's opportunity for them within our firm. And this is not firm wide, because our firm is really big on diversity and inclusion. It just happens to be that in the Deep South, in Mississippi, I'm the only one, and I'm okay with that.
You the unicorn.
Yep, that's me. Black girl magic everywhere.
Hey, I like that. Well, as always, as we kick off our show, Courtney, we like to start with a champion story. With finance, and you personally, I know you've been in finance for like some years. Ever since I've known you, you kind of been dealing with finance in some type of way. Whether it was loans, whether it was financial aid, and now you're a financial advisor. But overall, what is Courtney's champion story? What is your story?
I mean, I gotta say, Reggie, that one of the common misconceptions about financial advisors is that we're just filthy stinking rich. We're not. We're regular people, but that's also what makes us good advisors to our clients. And so if I had to say what my champion story would be, it has got to be overcoming, my own personal struggles with joblessness. Because though I'm here right now, and I think it's really pertinent for the current climate that we're in, I went from being a loan manager to not being anything at all. And then I went to being the director of student finance to, again, not doing anything at all, to landing on this side of finance. And I really believe, Reggie, that in the beginning part, I've been in finance for the last 10, almost 11 years. And I really believe that at the beginning, the Lord just really allowed me to see how much people struggle and how necessary it is for us to prepare. There's a story in the scripture in Proverbs talks about the ant and how they work hard and gather for the harvest. So I was always on a side where I was able to help people at the end, when they got to find ways to bring all the ends together and find ways to make things meet. And so across the course of this 10 years, I'm really blessed and fortunate to be on this side where I can offer more value, if you will, and help people to take a more proactive look at their finances, and also a more provocative, because, my husband has taught me this, and I don't mind saying it, he my husband, but he teaches me stuff sometimes. He has taught me to learn to ask people questions that get them thinking.
All right, so next up on the show, we kind of continue with a series along the lines of finance. So we brought on some good friends of mine, Kenya and Gerard Patterson, who are financial experts as well. They also work in the world of insurance and financial securities and equities. So they came on and we just kind of discussed the importance of building a legacy for your family. But they also shared their champion story. So this is a brief snippet, but make sure you go out and listen to that full show. Story.
Okay, man. Well, I think one of the biggest things, because it really ties in for both of us, man, was when it comes to a champion story, the first thing, man, for us was realizing that we needed to take God out of a box. And what a lot of people don't realize is that, man, they go around living life placing God in a box. And what I mean by putting it in a box, so just for a quick example, is saying like, if you know your rent is due tomorrow and hey, you need to get it in before you get kicked out, a lot of times we praying, asking God just for that simple rent for the month. Yeah. Versus we asking God like, Lord, make it a way to where I never have to worry about rent again. You hear what I'm saying? Right. So it's a different mindset, and taking that mindset, man, and realizing that from careers and things that we had previously done, man, that we wanted more in life. We wanted to take control. We wanted to have what we call ownership, and to get out here and to really create it for ourselves. And so a lot of that really was going to be based off of taking a leap, taking a jump, you know what I'm saying, of faith, and letting God head that. And I think the biggest thing, for us, man, was not just doing it, but also want to do it together, want to do it as a partnership, man. I think that has been one of the most beautiful things about this, man, is getting to do this together every day. And I know for a lot of people, they talk about, well, how you work with your significant other every day. I was like, well,
most people can't do it.
Right, you know what I'm saying? Eventually, why did I get married to if I can't work with or be with her every day? You know what I mean? Yeah. So that really was a major, jump for us, man. That's on my end that I would say.
Gotcha. Yeah. We come from, both of us come from like very small towns, where we had small town living, but we had big goals, big dreams. And, one of our very first things was when we first got married was we wanted to go and see the world. We wanted to experience life. And, Gerard was talking about how it started out really kind of with a prayer, asking God, like, take us, we want to go to the next level because we don't want to kind of stay stagnant in life. Mm-hmm. And we know that there's got to be more for us that you have. So what is it? And when I say God moved and he shook some things up, he shook it up. And, I think about our story and I think about how the Bible talks about God he'll prune us, he'll strip us into like basically rebuild us. And that's essentially what happened with us. But you can't go to the next level with the same baggage, the same stuff, yeah. And, I thank God for that because like he said, we got into the mindset of God, we want to take you out of the box. And when you pray for something, be ready to receive it because he delivered. And, taking that leap, I always tell everybody, like the leap. Our champion story is that we took the leap. And the fact that, I feel like some days we're still leaping, but, it became we got over that hump of that fear of failing and understanding that God provides and he's going to take care of us. As long as we do what we're supposed to do, he has us. So I think about that and I just think about like as far as being a champion, and I think about, champion over everything, taking that leap, believing in, having faith in God. That's our story. That's what we've been riding on. That's what we've been rocking with.
So as you can see, if there was a recurring thing that started to happen, the more and more we did this podcast, as Gerard and Kenya mentioned, in their champion story, for them they had to jump, right? They had to step out on faith, but also they had to take God out of a box, essentially remove that barrier that was a box that we oftentimes we pray and ask God for certain things versus giving us the skills and the mindset to no longer have to deal with those things or go above and beyond those things. Then we shifted gears a little bit, for the month of November. we started to focus on small business owners and the things that they were doing because we wanted to drive awareness to small business owners for the holiday season. And our first guest during that particular time was Miss Jamila Martin of Trendy Tots LLC. And she came on and she shared her champion story. And you'll find that in her story, she told us to inhale courage and exhale fear. And she had a powerful story within itself.
Oh, my champion story. Well, I can honestly say my champion story is still being written. I have to champion things daily. And I don't think my story is over. I still think that I'm working on my story, but eventually I will have a huge story to tell and can share it with the world. But I mean, I think that I encounter a lot of adversity, and sometimes I know I've had friends to tell me, "Girl,
Hmm.
if people didn't know you, they would swear that this was a story from a soap opera or something." Because it's just strange how things go in my life. But I've dealt with depression. I've dealt with a lot of things, and most recently, I just dealt with losing myself.
Hmm.
Discovering that I lost myself rather. And I just kind of had an epiphany. I was on the highway. I had to go see my dad. He had to have an emergency surgery. And normally I'm driving on the highway and I'm speaking on the phone with someone, but this time I was just kind of like listening to music and just zoning out. And it was just like an aha moment. And all of a sudden, my ambition just fell back into my heart. Like I just felt like my old self, and I was just like, "Girl, you a boss. You've been going around here, losing yourself. You didn't know where you were for a minute, but you're back now." And I just think that for a parent, sometimes you get so consumed with the monotony of daily tasks, and you just pour yourself into your children so much that you literally lose who you are. And so I'm just grateful that I have found myself. I have that ambition that I once had back. I have just a drive and a joy, and I'm just excited to see, where things are going to go since I finally found myself.
So Jamila shared her testimony. She shared her champion story. Then we brought in brother Sid Rogers of Smoking Charlie Barbecue. We dubbed this particular episode "Who Want the Smoke?" Right? Who want the smoke? Uh, Man, Sid shared a powerful testimony. Like during the filming of it, man, it was getting so good to where everything just like production wise just went out. Like I lost Sid. Sid couldn't get back on, the computer shut down, and we were like, wow, we know that his particular testimony, his story is definitely going to inspire some people and change some lives.
All right. So, of course, my name is Cedric. I'm the owner of Smoking Charlie's Barbecue. I used to work for a company about 8 years. Through that 7 to 8 year period, I would say things began to change for me. I would say spiritually. So the Holy Spirit began to kind of tell me, "Hey, Cedric, it's time for you to make a change." I didn't want to make a change. I did not want to make a change at all. So basically, after I did not want to make a change, I remember waking up. It was like 4 o'clock that morning. Holy Spirit was just on me. Uh, After I had a conversation, I was like, "Well, basically, Lord, I need you to just pretty much come out the sky and tell me that it's time for me to leave what I'm doing right now. I need you to be crystal clear." Long story short, as I was preparing myself for work, I was putting my tie on. My little girl wakes up. Charlie wakes up, and she like, "Dad, don't go to work today." She never wake up when I go to work. And my reply back to her was, "Hey, I'll see you when I get off work." 20 minutes down the highway, I had a horrible accident. Totaled out a car, fractured some wrists. That was the end for me. So basically, I went into a deep depression because even though I did not have a job, I lost my job. And that was the part that I think nobody ever knew. I lost my job. I never told nobody that. I lost my job and I went into a depression state. And thank God for my wife. She literally was like, "Well, Cedric, you have a lot of gifts, you have a lot of talents. Why don't you tap into them? I said, nope. I said, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I wasn't getting no unemployment. I wasn't getting no workman's comp. It was just, I was really just sitting at the house, just depressed. And one day she came home, and I think you remember, we came to see Spire, and we got a line for Smoking Charlie. After we got the telephone line with Smoking Charlie, we came back home, and she was like, now you need to think of a name for this company. Like, man, I don't know, just call it barbecue something. Charlie was dancing, and it's a true story. Charlie was dancing around in the living room like she always do, and I was like, Charlie. And she was like, you can't call it Charlie because we have old Charlies. I said, no, we're going to call it Smoking Charlies. That is how Smoking Charlies actually started. So with the last little bit of money that I had from the company that I used to work for, I bought 2 bags of lead quarters and 4 slabs of ribs. And the way that I got started, I just actually cooked all their food, and I took it around to local businesses and I passed it out. And I said, you know, everything that I did for the company that I used to work for, I'm just going to implement that into myself. Passed out the barbecue. I did a follow-up. Some of it was a little rough on me, you know, like some of the feedback was rough. It was very humbling to me because I'll be honest to tell you, I didn't want to start Smoking Charlie. I felt like selling plates was beneath me. That's the truth. Nobody knows that.
Wow.
I really felt like selling plates was not the thing to do. So long story short, the good Lord knew what was best. So as we would say, selling plates turned into what now we call our Smoking Charlie's barbecue. It is wonderful. It has been wonderful. My faith has been tested more than anything because I do not have a second job. Smoking Charlie is what we do, was actually what I do full time. So there are times when my faith gets tested. There are times where I get a little weird, I get a little tired. But at the end of the day, the word, man, is all that I have. And it's wonderful. I get the chance to experience God in ways that I've never experienced.
We're able to do a partnership between my champion over everything, Smoking Charlie, and then Jamila is a part of a nonprofit organization, Life Support Cares, along with her partner, Ashley Haskell. So we were able to partner together, and for Thanksgiving, we were able to provide meals to a family. And that partnership has led on to other things, and I'll talk about that a little bit later because we did do another show later on in which we brought Ashley on to tell about the journey and the champion story of Life Support Cares LLC. So you'll hear about that one a little bit later on. But next up is Miss Tiffany Gray of Creatively Chic. So Tiffany, man, wow, that was another powerful testimony because she shared her story of loss as well, and how when God tells you to move, you gotta move. So just having faith and being confident in God. Here's a snippet of Tiffany's champion story.
So, my champion story. Like most people, I've been through a lot. Personal life, business life. I wear a lot of hats. I've tried to work my 8 to 5 and come home and have that side hustle, but my side hustle has turned into my 8 to 5. So just a champion story. If I told y'all the full story, we'll be here all day. But just a snippet. On last year, year before last, 2018. January 2018, I was working my 9 to 5. I was going into work every day, not really pleased with the feeling I had when I got to work. I was ready to go. When I left from work, I was taking work with me. The emotional side of work was getting to me. It was interfering with my relationship. It was interfering with my relationship with my son. It was interfering with my faith. And so I was like, the work I'm doing is in home health. I'm helping people. I'm able to reach out to 5, 6 different counties, meet new people, meet families, go into their home, help them any way I possibly can. but still the emotional side of what I had to deal with once I got back into the office and things like that wasn't worth my sanity. But I kept going to work every day. I prayed to God. I talked to some of my closest friends. I talked to my first lady. I talked to my youth leadership because we're very close. And they were all like, you know, you do what you got to do. But if you need to leave, like, we've always known you to be a hustler. You've always did what you had to do to make ends meet. So if you have to leave, but pray about it, you know. So God kept telling me, like, every time I got to work, it was like God was pushing me, like, you don't need to be there. You don't need to. And I was like, I can't fail these people. I'm helping in the field. So, you know, I'm just going to stick it out. Well, all this stuff happened one day at work, and I was in orientating a worker to come work in one of my counties for me. She was in the back and she was viewing a orientation video. I went out and I was making copies and getting her paperwork together. So when the video got done, I could go back in and we can finish up orientation. Thing is, I never made it back into the room. Why? I got called into the office. I lost my job that day in the middle of while orientating a new person to come onto my staff. I lost my job, got home. And even though in the moment I was upset, I was also relieved in a sense, because God had already told me to leave and I didn't. And so lost my job. We had just got a home. It's a rental home, but we had just rented a new house probably 2 weeks before. And the price of the house was what we could afford. You know, it was a very high price, but we could afford it. My significant other was in the oil field, and I was working a 9 to 5 plus my side hustle, so we were good. But when I lost my job, it was like, oh Lord, you know. So I lost my job. A couple of months later, well, let me say that I told my significant other, and he was like, you know, we'll be okay. You know, I'm in the oil field, we're good. I'm okay. A few months later, he got laid off. His company was bought out by another company. First they cut their hours. They didn't cut their hours, they cut their pay. They were still working in 28 days and home 14, but his pay was cut. So he was no longer bringing in that income that we were used to. And even though we both had savings, we both had 401ks, we don't want to tap into all that because then there'll be nothing left when we retire. So a few months after they cut his pay, he lost his job, laid them all off, okay? Within that time of being laid off, we had to just make it work with my side hustle, okay? So after that, you know, after a couple months of him being laid off, actually right before he got laid off, my car got repoed. I started losing everything.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that because I still walked around, smile, holding stuff together, doing what I had to do for my son. My son was the biggest, that keeps me going. It's my biggest motivation. Got my car back within a couple of days. And I realized, like, I when I lost my car, I got another job at the post office. Mind you, this is like 6 months later. So that 6 months, my side hustle was making what I could. Well, it was keeping a roof over my head, but not taking care of everything else I needed to take care of. And so with my church family, my significant other, my son, some of my family members who knew what I was going through was like, Tiffany, you can do this. You can do it. Like, you can do it. You've overcame so much. You can do it. So I started working for the post office. My brother, big brother Pati, again, a part of my church family. I met him at church, hired me on at the post office before he retired, and I worked there. But then it was interfering with my son. My son plays 3 different sports. He's in sports year round. So every Saturday I'm at work while having to pay somebody to take him to games, or during the week, if I had to go, I had to pay somebody to take him to practice or whatever the case may be, because my significant other is on the water. He's in the oil field. And so I didn't have People, because people have lives, so they're not always available on the weekend. They're trying to spend time with their own family. So I was having to pay people, and again, that spirit came over me like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. I took you out of a situation where you was working 9 to 5 when you have the keys to what you need at home. You can be at home. I had a full-blown business at home. I took you out of this situation once, and you put you got right back into the same situation again. Long story short, I ended up quitting my job while I was tearing up my car. That same car I had worked so hard to get back. I was tearing it up, delivering mail and stuff. Got it. And so just one Saturday I went in, I gave her 2 weeks notice, worked my next 2 weeks, quit. The people in that office was so mean. At that time, my brother had retired. He was no longer there. So we had, other people in charge. They were so rude. The last couple of weeks, they were so rude. They acted like I wasn't there. I mean, it was terrible. But I finished out my 2 weeks, came home, been home ever since. I've picked up a lot of different things, but creatively chic has been my outlet. It has been my outlet for money. It has been my outlet to relieve some stress. It has been my outlet as far as meeting new people. And I've been able to help a lot of people through Creatively Chic, which was my main goal. Like, of course, I want to make money, but I also want to be a help to someone else.
All right, so Tiffany shared testimony, her story, and it's kind of crazy because similar thing happened when interviewing Tiffany. That kind of happened with Sid. That particular day, as soon as we logged on, the whole power in my neighborhood just shut off. I'm talking about my internet. I was without power, and we had a deadline that we were trying to do to complete that interview, and it was crazy because immediately I'm like, all right, you got this. What do you need to do to make this happen? So you're not losing out on time and having to reschedule this interview again because we were trying to push it out by that particular Thursday, and I want to say this was maybe Monday or Tuesday that we were doing it. So I had to go get my cell phone, use my cell phone as a hotspot, and I'm praying the whole time, like, all right, Lord, um, please let the Wi-Fi be good enough to, be able to do the interview via Zoom and maintain until the power comes back on. I had some portable battery chargers, in which I was able to hook up my ring lights, and then just let a little bit of sunlight into that room, so we were able to complete Tiffany's um, champion story and Tiffany's interview. Fast forward a little bit. um, Life Support Cares. Jamila came back with her partner Ashley, and we were able to get Ashley's champion story. Um, that will be shared in just a moment. But one thing about it was that connection that we all had, and the passion that we all had in order to seek to find a way to help impact the lives of somebody else. Their organization does this on a monthly, on a weekly, on a daily basis, right? But being able to partner with Life Support Cares and Champion Over Everything and Smoking Charlie's Barbecue, we came together for the month of December to just give some meals out to some people that were less fortunate, to the homeless. And during that particular time, God bless us with the resources in which we were able to give out 100 plates to people that really wanted something to eat and needed something to eat. So I'm grateful for the resources that were provided to us during that particular time. But I'm happy that Ashley came aboard and shared her story. The platform is yours.
All right. Well, you guys, first of all, I'm just blessed to be able to be here at this particular moment. My champion story is still being written. Just some of the things I've had to try to overcome more recently is feeling inadequate. There are times where we just feel like we're not equipped to handle the things that God places before us. And that's something I've had to deal with recently. because I know oftentimes when God speaks to you, he tells you to do something, the first thing you think about is, oh, but I don't have this, or I don't have that, or I'm not ready, or, and what I've learned is when God tells you to do something, you have to move. If you do not, he will push you out. And I feel like because God speaks to me in that way and tells me like, hey, move, 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 you have to get up and move, because if you don't, you oftentimes miss out on your blessings. And something I've always kind of dealt with all throughout high school was that people would approach me all the time. I would be in grocery stores, they just say, oh, you just seem like you're so easy to talk to, people I didn't know. And I just would be like, oh, I don't feel like being bothered right now. But I realized that was something that God was bringing out in me to let me know, like, hey, you're going to be here for the people. Even sometimes when you don't feel like it, you're going to be here for the people. You know, just by me smiling, sometimes I was inviting people in to talk to me, and I didn't know how important that was going to be. And that's definitely important, within life support cares, which I'm sure you guys will hear about later. But I just want to say that you can't be afraid. You just have to move forward and do what you need to do, even when you feel inadequate, because God is going to give you what you need.
All right, and lastly, um, we had Kenya Patterson to come back because Kenya is working for Happy Planner. She's a Happy Planner squad member. And the reason why I saved this video for last is because as we are celebrating and recapping 2020, a lot of us plan to do some stuff, right? And 2020 kind of knocked those plans out the way. But I want to urge you that as you move on 2021, don't forget to plan. Make sure you check out Kenya's champion story, which is next, because she shares how she became a squad member with Happy Planner, but also go and check out her YouTube, because as you prepare for 2021, if you have yet to get a planner, you want to check her out. You want to partner with her to get you a planner so you can start looking at some different ways to obtain and reach your goals in 2021. Here's her story.
Okay, hey you guys. So I'm Kenya Patterson, and part of something that I do and I have a true passion for is planning. And the difference with my style of planning is I'm a creative planner. So just to give you a little backstory about me, I've been creative planning since 2019. And I kind of got into the realm because I was looking for some way to express my creative outlet. And I'm a natural born planner. I've been planning since I was pretty much in middle school, being involved in different school activities. So I had to kind of write it down. One of my teachers urged me to get into the habit of planning my weekly schedule. And so that has kind of evolved throughout college and into my adult life. I can't live without my planner. So when the opportunity came and it was presented to me that there was this whole world of planners on Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, all the social media platforms, I was a little hesitant. I'm gonna be honest. I was a little hesitant to jump in there because I wasn't used to sharing my planner outside of my personal friends, like my everyday friends, like Reggie, of course, Cookie, your wife. So I wasn't used to that. So I reached out to a couple of ladies and I asked them, was it worth it? Did they see a benefit in creating a separate platform specifically catered to their planning, their planner style, their crafting, area or world, I guess you could say, that they're involved in? And both of these ladies were so kind and so genuine in their response to me, and they told me that I should definitely go for it. So I did. I started my journey in my actual planner Instagram, which is at Kenya Dolls Plans in on May 2019. And what was crazy about that, I just jumped into it. I decided I was already creative planning. I just had never posted any pictures of my work. And I just started taking pictures, not really knowing the right way and the wrong way to do it. But I just jumped in there. And then I would say over the year, right when I was getting ready to prep and celebrate my 1 year anniversary, this was a beautiful achievement for myself because I I was at a point in my life where I was kind of a little bit reserved, I would say. normally I'm a natural butterfly and I just, reach out to people and I talk to people. But in this point of life, I was really going through some hard struggles and times. And I became more conservative with what I gave people and what I gave others, and opening up to this planner world, which is absolutely amazing. One of the best decision that I've made pretty much hands down all of 2019 was starting this account and engaging with these other women and solely just having fun with it. Little did I know that it was going to turn into a complete business where that it would be profitable for me, you guys. So God moves in mysterious ways. He really does. So fast forward to my 1 year anniversary. I was gonna celebrate it. I had told my husband, I said, I want to do a whole photo shoot and I'm just gonna, celebrate the fact that I actually stepped out there and I'm coming out of my shell a little bit that I had, put around myself. And the opportunity to call every year the Happy Planner, which is the main planner that I use. I fell in love with the Happy Planner in the planner aisles, like most planners like myself in Michael's in Hobby Lobby. We go down there and we get stuck with all the stickers and all the options. And I got an email that they were doing a call for the new Happy Planner Squad. And they do this every year around April or May. They issue this squad call and they pick a new team every year. And so what the Happy Planner Squad is, it is a team of individuals, men and women actually, who get to test out their product, and they send us products and we get to test it out. We also get to do like fun projects with the things that they send us, as well as we are featured across all of their social media platforms, as well as their website, in any of their email marketing, like things that they're putting out. We're in all of that stuff. So that's pretty cool to be able to get all the new products and test it out. And one thing I really love about it is the community of it all, and being able to listen to the community and see what everybody's liking, what people are not liking, and be able to actually give my voice and opinion on that. So I applied for the squad. And this year they decided to do something a little bit different, and they wanted us to do a video submission, 1 minute or less, telling why we feel we will be a good fit for the squad. So in my mind, I'm an out of the box type of person. I like to do stuff different. So I didn't want to just have the stationary setup where I just set the camera up and I just started telling and spilling my guts to the people that were making the decision. And I consulted with my husband. Well, first, let me back up. No, I consulted with God.
Bag it up. Bag it up.
Back it up. I'm missing a big part. I asked God, I was like, Lord, is this for me? Am I tripping? Should I even try this? Because, right now I'm just having fun. I'm in my own groove. Should I even go for it? And he gave me peace about it. So I decided, I was like, well, Lord, I need a concept. I need help. Help me be creative with it. If I'm gonna do it, I'm just gonna put it all out there. And no risk, no reward, right? So I risked it and I put out a video where I invited the team that was deciding on who was going to be on the squad into Mississippi. I'm a Mississippi girl. We get a lot of, oh, there's nothing in Mississippi. There's nothing to do. There's no good things. And that's a lie, because a lot of good stock comes from Mississippi. The world would not be what it is, especially in the entertainment business. I mean, across all sectors of life. People from Mississippi, we are just bomb. Okay.
We the backbone. We are the backbone.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I wanted to invite them to Mississippi, and I did something a little bit different. Instead of telling them my story, I wanted to show them my story. And you can check out my submission video on YouTube. I completely had no idea that I was supposed to unlist the video if I didn't want anybody to see it. So I publicized my video, you guys. And being a newbie in this whole realm, I was new to YouTube. I had only done like maybe 3 or 4 videos, did not have a setup at all. I didn't really have a lot of material. I used my phone to create this video. And I would say about 2 weeks after the submission, after the deadline, I say about 2 weeks, I received a DM from one of the marketing people on the team. She's a cherished person in our community. And
Wow.
she DM'd me and she told me that something was wrong with my video.
Uh-oh.
I I freaked out because, like I said, I was new to it. So I was like, oh my God, I did something wrong. And so my brain started working overtime, and she wanted to Zoom call me. And, so she could ask me some questions because she said she wanted to give everybody a fair chance. Well, me and my husband was out of lunch, and there was no way I was going to wait till the next day to have this video, like Zoom call. I was like, no, I'm talking to her in just a few minutes. Thank God he had asked me to go to lunch with him to get up and have a lunch date because I was already dressed and put together. So I actually we were actually leaving from getting food, and I tapped into the Zoom call, and that's when she kind of played with my emotions a little bit, but it was all in fun. And she asked me would I be a part of the squad this year. You guys, I freaked out.
All right, so thank y'all for tuning in for the 2020 recap, the season finale of season 1. We just wrapped it up, season finale of season 1, in which we shared the champion stories of many individuals from many walks of life, friends and family, that I have been able to meet and just kind of do life with over the last few years. Season 2, we got some good content coming your way. We got some great people. I reached out and reached back home. So Greenwood, Mississippi. Yeah, I'm a Delta boy. We got some people who are gonna come on and talk about some things that they have been able to endure. We got some people from the area of wellness that's gonna come and talk about mental wellness, physical wellness, even emotional wellness, right? We got some more people from finance. We're gonna do some special Black History Month episodes. We have Women's Month, so we got so much content, so many people. We got a couple of authors that's gonna come on and talk to you all for a bit. But we're going to continue to grow. One of my goals for 2021 is to end up with an actual podcast studio. So y'all pray for me on that. I know that door is going to open up, but we want to be able to bring people in to where we can sit now side by side and interview them when they are in the area. And for those who are not in the area, this is just not a local thing. We are going to continue to go worldwide, nationwide. We have I have a young lady who used to work for me who helped me with my branding early on, and she's gonna come on and we're gonna talk about the things that she's been able to accomplish, the people she's been able to network with, and then the importance of branding. So I'm looking forward to 2021. I thank y'all for being on this journey. If you would like to support this podcast, the YouTube channel, even if it's just taking time out to do some editing of the videos, reach out to me, championovereverything@gmail.com. If you want to provide financial support so we can get more resources to grow this thing even further, you can, cash app us, $COE podcast. Follow us on Instagram, COE podcast as well. So, I'm excited on what 2021 holds. I'm excited about the people that we are going to connect with. Be sure to check out season 2, episode 1, because in there, how you have a TV show that runs for a little bit of time, and then there's a backdoor pilot that launches something else, another TV show. Yeah, that's gonna happen. Season 2, episode 1, COE podcast. So above all things, look, keep moving forward always. COE, champion over everything, holding it down.